Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. November 11th, 2025, Veterans Day. We decided to take the chance and do our first live event to give answers to veterans' burning questions. Now, we wanted to run that live event on both TikTok and YouTube. Unfortunately, it was discovered that we were not having the right connection set up with YouTube, whether that be my internet or YouTube itself. So the live only ran through TikTok, but what I have for you today is the uncut version from TikTok that I'm going to post here on YouTube so that you can watch me stumble through the technological world of things and actually hear the questions I was able to answer and hear a little bit more about what we do. So please enjoy and have a good day. Okay, I think that one's
live.
I think that one's live now.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so that one's live. Now let me get this other one going. Yeah, okay. Do this. And that seems to be working, I think. No?
I guess the hearts help get more people in. So
Oh, well,
do the hearts.
that sounds good. Learning as I go. Learning as I go. You want this one? Oh, yeah. There we go. Now we got volume on that one. And now, close that. Do I need to put a description and stuff right now? Hopefully not. I don't want to type. Oh, I do. Okay, no worries.
What are you entitled to? What benefits can help you today? What do you want to say?
You have to give me a moment really quick. YouTube apparently has more to log into than TikTok. So yeah, just everybody gets to watch me play around with, if there's anybody there, gets to play around with how to work this technology.
Sneeze. Oh no, Mark joined just now.
Mark joined. Well, hello, Mark. Yeah, do you want to give me a moment? I'm fighting with technology on the other side.
We are going live both on TikTok and YouTube to help the most veterans possible on Veterans Day. That's the point of today.
That it is. Always want to help. Always want to help. I'm just not always technically savvy.
Mark, do you have any questions? Type them in so we can answer your questions about VA benefits.
All right, that one's going. Yes. Taking all questions about VA disability. I want to make sure everybody's knowledgeable, understands how it works. Ask away.
Go ahead and type in your questions so that we can answer them for you. So Matt can answer them. I don't know anything. I'm not answering nothing. I'm just reading and saying words.
All right. I think I got YouTube going now and I got TikTok going. So maybe I've accomplished something. Maybe I've accomplished something.
All right.
Well, as we wait for everybody else and other questions from individuals already here, I guess what was the first question that starts off?
Nobody has asked questions just yet, so I am going to ask a question. Who is it that you help most of all? How can you be of service to people?
Oh, well, yeah. So for who we help, we help veterans and their family members. When we say that, it's the focus on VA disability benefits, either the service connection compensation, which we can hash out as we go along here, or the non-service connected pension. They get money for the dependents as well, so we can make sure that that's all in there. They also get survivors benefits for the widows so we can make sure we handle those as well. So we help really the veteran and their family for any benefits that really fall in the disability realm.
Great. Anybody have any questions that you could absolutely benefit from related to veterans benefits? It could be education, loans, disability, pension. How would people go about starting to file a claim?
Oh yeah, starting to file a claim. So again, it's the benefit you're going to file for. But let's just focus in on service-connected compensation. It's the most popular benefit that we work with. So to start one, there's a few different ways. If you're a current service member now and you're about 180 days, between I think it's 90 and 180 days out from your ETS, your retirement, just being done, you can actually start a claim in that period of time. What you need to do there is you need to go to your local admin section. I know it as an S1, being an Army guy. Get copies of all your records, and then fill out a 526 EZ form. And then usually a representative can help you with some of the other process. But if you're a veteran who's already been out of service, even within the first year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it may be, then you really just need to start with that 526 EZ form, fill it out, put in your information, and say what conditions you want to claim, and then we just kind of take it from there. And that's how you really get started. Mainly that 526 EZ form.
Great. Is the process same for somebody like a survivor for those benefits?
So for survivor benefits, we're talking a different realm. So we're not using the same form anymore. We're looking at a form that covers pretty much everything. And you have to forgive me, the form number is escaping my mind at the moment, but it covers what we call dependency indemnity compensation, DIC as we know it. There are some other pension benefits if that's what we want to strive for, but that's going to be a bigger packet, and we find it tends to be overwhelming for a lot of people, especially after losing a loved one and losing a veteran. So it's always good to kind of sit down with a representative like myself, kind of let us help guide you through the completion of that. But that's definitely a bigger form, bigger packet with more information involved. Usually you also have to submit the death certificate as well. There's one benefit in there is we're looking to see if the veteran passed of a service-connected condition in order to get the higher benefit in the process.
I would imagine for survivors that would be a little more challenging because the survivors probably don't speak the military lingo.
Oh yeah, we definitely get that too. We've seen that. You definitely have survivors of the veterans that they may have lived with the veteran the whole life, figured out a good chunk of the lingo of the service, but they may not understand still what maybe a DD-214 is, while the rest of us know it's our discharge documents. They may not understand some of that lingo. So when they do come in, it is nice because we can, again, help them through that lingo, help them understand what all that means, what those documents are, what those acronyms are, and definitely get them into the system and get things rolling for them. So, but there's still a good population that do understand that language. I mean, you have family members who are very involved as well in the service, or maybe they're service members themselves. And even so, knowing the lingo, they may still be in a state of emotional state where it's still hard to kind of focus in on those documents. But again, there's always help out there in order to fill out these documents and guide you through the process as well.
Yeah. So how is it that the military determines who gets what? Well,
when they say what the military determines, I think that's an interest. I like how you did that, though. I like how you did that. This is good. So sometimes that's what we forget. We'll even get that when you think of lingo as well with widows or family members. There are benefits that come from the military, like there is a pension benefit, your retirement, and other benefits the military will give. But VA is a separate department, so they're giving you a different benefit, a different Yeah, service connection compensation. And one confusion is that non-service connected pension piece that may come into play. So you kind of get two pensions for the same thing. So you got to understand. We have to understand that there are two different entities when it comes into that. And now that I got that sorted out, I'll have to admit that I forgot what the rest of the question.
How is eligibility determined?
So eligibility. So yeah, eligibility is determined. So one thing when we think of eligibility, and when we're focusing on the work that we do here, but we have to also understand that there are three administrations underneath the Department of Veterans Affairs. Department of Veterans Affairs is our main umbrella. The department now has the Veterans Healthcare Administration, the Benefits Administration, and the National Cemeteries. So you're going to have different eligibility for each benefit. Healthcare is going to have their eligibility. Benefits going to have their different eligibility. Focusing on the benefits side of the house, again, it depends on what benefit you're going for. Whether that be a home loan, whether that be education, or just disability. So without all the confusion, let's stick with the disability because that's where we live mostly in our office here. So when it comes to eligibility for veterans, we have to look at how the law defines what a veteran is. Now, a veteran is a service member who served either on active duty, maybe they're active component their entire career, or maybe they're a reserve or National Guard member. So those get a little bit trickier. So we look at whether the active Guard member or reservist was on active duty for training, whether they were on their weekend drills or battle assemblies, as I think they called them last time I got out, whether those inactive duty for training days all led up to some sort of injury while in the line of duty. That may sound quite confusing, but the law is kind of fun that way. But ultimately, the eligibility is you have to be injured in service, whether you be active component, National Guard, or a reservist. And the other main concept that the law requires is you have to have some sort of discharge that leaves you in an honorable status of sorts. So those are the basics of eligibility. Once we cross those hurdles, then we start talking about all the other elements and everything, and getting those benefits, which then becomes a whole nother realm of things for the process.
So you mentioned when you got out. So I think that it would be great for people to know your history and how you are finding yourself here now in this place. And how did you get here?
Well, you see, when a man or woman loves, well, we like to have fun too. Yeah, no, it was an interesting journey. There was a point in my life, young kid who wanted to do good for a lot of people. Fell in love with the law, figured the law was the way to do it. Realized, hey, I come from a broke family who can't afford to send me to school. I got a phone call from an Army recruiter. And at the time I was a naive kid as I got older. I got this call when I was in high school over the years. And so I said, yeah, let's give it an option because there might be something here. So I went down to the recruiting station, and just a fun story of the whole mix was because I didn't really know who I talked to, paid attention. I was that naive kid, just knowing my ultimate goal. I ended up in the Marines recruiting office, and I was only 17 at the time, so they couldn't take me. So as I'm trying to figure out what's going on and why I'm also confused, the Army guys realized I'm in the complex, and they pulled me over. Oh, we've been waiting for you. Oh, that's good. Now I know where I belong. But the short end of it all is I ended up liking what they had to offer. I liked what they told me, and crazy enough is I still to this day don't feel my recruiter ever lied to me, which I don't think many veterans can say that. So I ultimately found myself in a position. It was human resources. I found myself learning the regulations quickly, learning how to interpret stuff, how to do all the paperwork. Something I was just good at. Before I knew it, I found myself in Iraq in 2003. They went through a couple different people on the mission, on handling just simple tracking of people, or I'm going to call it simple. And what ultimately happened was they found I was the only one who seemed to understand how to make all the regulations and the paperwork and all the processes work. So from there, it just kind of grew to the idea that when I came home, I was on orders a lot to fill in gaps and holes and movement and send other soldiers overseas, get them all ready to go. Over time, I said, hey, I really want to focus in on my law stuff. I finally graduated college, got my bachelor's in criminal justice, found myself into the JAG unit, reclassified myself into a paralegal, found myself, again, just being very valuable to the service, working as a civilian for a little bit as well, a miltech, as many might know it as. And then VA came knocking one day. VA came knocking to do one of their presentations to explain to us what the VA benefits were. So we sat down, we talked, and they had another mission. They had another mission on hand. It wasn't just to talk to us about the benefits, but they were looking for some records to help some other veterans. And I was the keeper of thousands of records for thousands of soldiers. So I was able to get those records for them, and then kind of became that point of contact. Before I knew it, I was working for the VA around 2008. Veteran service representative. I made it to a rating specialist. Found my way to a supervisor. We got detailed to a call center to Phoenix here, who's I believe was probably the largest, if not one of the largest now for the VA, handling policies and hiring and just. If I could think it, they were going to let me do it, and ultimately, I got led up into the Board of Veterans Appeals, where I was an attorney there for about a year, where I kind of looked at life and said, all this experience I've got and how great this is, I feel like I can do more and I can do better. So I gave up all my benefits from the government, gave up my pension that I was short of, that I could have had if I was stuck around for probably another 5 years, and said, I'm going to come out here and help veterans out. I originally teamed up with another attorney who's a Marine. We did good for a while, and then we decided to part ways as we wanted to help kind of a different population of veterans in different ways. So here I am now. But long story. I now landed in my own office here in Surprise, Arizona, and we help veterans as they walk in the door, as they call us. Cheap plug, I suppose. Go to veteranlink.com. Get scheduled.
But you got to see the other side of the benefits process.
Oh, yeah, I definitely seen the other side of the process. I tell everybody I let the VA teach me everything I need to know, and now I use it against them. That's what I do. So one thing I left out there is what was interesting in the process as well, and thinking of processes, is the paperless program came out, known as VBMS. And I got to be part of that original rollout, sit and test the program, talk to the programmers, and try to break the system. I didn't have to do much work there. I guess it did a very good job at breaking itself, but it was great to see. And then I stuck on with that even all the way through being a rating specialist, a supervisor. I was still part of that kind of group that did low-level tech support for it, I guess you could say, and provided feedback on how it was working in the field. So, yeah, I got to see all these really cool processes in the end. Just another process that was always fun for me is because I don't think I really would have seen it if I didn't get the opportunity to go to the National Call Center. The National Call Center really opened my eyes to a whole nother realm of VA that I wasn't experiencing. I watched a group of people come together to do everything they could to answer every question a veteran has. And unfortunately, there are times where veterans are down and out and they're in a bad place. They might become suicidal in the process. And if that ever happened, it was phenomenal for me to watch the systems that were in place and the processes that occurred to take care of that veteran and watch for their safety. Click of a button in the computer, you had the entire staff. Nearly, it felt like all supervisors included,
sitting there making sure that things were documented. Police enforcement was called. Crisis teams were set out. It was just amazing. So yeah, there were so many processes to make sure the veteran was definitely taken care of and helped. That definitely helps me understand this side of the table even a lot more now.
That is so nice to hear. I had no idea that there was something like that at a call center. So that is great to hear. I wonder if there are processes in place before it gets to that critical mass, though. I think that's probably where the gap is, with their first time calling in, probably not feeling as much pressure on a good day. And then the red tape kind of builds and they're not getting any forward movement in their claim, and then it kind of reaches this critical mass. And that's kind of like, I feel like that's your piece of the puzzle here.
Right.
Push that.
And that's an interesting point as well, is I think one thing that even working inside the VA that even I'll say as an employee, we tend to forget. Because we only have paper in front of, VA's only got paper in front of them, unfortunately. But one thing I do forget is the paper is not just paper. There's a person attached to that file. And every move you make and decision you make on that file is changing somebody's life. And when you have a veteran, just from experience, not necessarily every veteran, but when you have a veteran who is suffering from some severe PTSD, for example, their life is already feeling very difficult for them. And then when you take and deny a claim in a way where you can clearly see on the decision that no one took the time to understand the veteran, the story, or really be part of that veteran's life for a moment, yeah, we get veterans who then their condition will definitely get worse. I've seen it. I've actually had personally to email directors of offices, undersecretary of VA at one time, trying to address an issue because I was watching this happen with some of the veterans we were helping, and we had to stand in as much as we could to try to get that resolved. So yes, it's very crucial, and I hope the VA one day understands that, again, that paper in front of them is a veteran. You're going to change somebody's life with the decision you make, so be careful with it. Some of them are needing a little bit more than maybe others. Sometimes it's just hearing them. Let them know that you do hear them. If you got to deny the claim, I get it. There's definitely evidence and law and rules out there, but try to make sure the veteran is heard. Make sure that they understand that they were heard. That's really a big piece there. So yeah, definitely a piece in there where there is a probably disconnect that does lead to some of the additional problems, or maybe not lead to, but really aggravates the situation in a very bad way, and not a way that the VA intends for it to do. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, and I think in a lot of our daily lives, there's decisions that we don't realize how it always impacts others too. And I think that's just unfortunate. And that's what we see from the VA is they go in, we're punching the clock. Some of them, not all of them. I worked with a lot of good ones too. So they punch the clock, they take out the file and don't think twice about who's on the other side. So it's really my plea. I don't know if I can do it enough. So just please remember, you have somebody who went through something that many of us may not be able to imagine. Even if we're veterans ourselves, we may not realize that what they went through was even worse than what maybe we went through. So we just have to take it in consideration. But leading into that, though, I think that's one thing that also, just as that other plug, shameless plug, apologies, that I think we also utilize and strive here in this firm when it comes to helping veterans, is we try to be more personable. We want to sit down. We want to hear the stories. I've got some veterans, like, they'll just come in and say hi and sit with me with some water or coffee, and we'll just chat if I have some time. So we always look forward to doing that, remembering that it's a person and not just a file, and getting to know them, So it's kind of nice. Nice little thing.
So knowing the back end and the red tape that could happen, I would imagine working with you kind of is like a hot knife through butter that can kind of ease that
Yeah.
a little bit more. Not always, maybe.
It is, and sometimes I think the VA really doesn't like that. Maybe some of them are okay with it. Yeah, it does, because these decisions, for example, they come out with, and I think a lot of people may not understand what they are because the wording that's used or just the way they're set up, and there's so much information trying to be thrown at you once to meet so many requirements. And what my benefit is I don't just know what those words mean on a piece of paper, but I can usually tell you what that person who put those words there were thinking that day, because I've lived it, I've done it, I've trained those individuals, I have done those jobs myself. So I can tell you usually what button they're clicking. And yes, so it's like a hot knife through butter in the end, because I'm back here like, well, I know what you did wrong. Let me help you out. And I can explain in either write-up or a conference or a hearing what was done wrong, and kind of re-guide them a lot of times into the proper direction and help them understand the rules and laws better. Just because I know the rules and laws are not taught to them the same way they were taught to me after I went to law school. So we got to get them in that kind of realm. So yeah, I come at them sometimes pretty hard. Sometimes I have to be a little bit more gentle, but we definitely, we slice right through it in most cases. Now, I don't want veterans to think though that happens every time. We do still have moments where we run into some very stubborn individuals, and we will have to go at them a couple different times. But it's still rewarding in the end when we win that case, because I don't take on anything I don't believe I can win. I have to have a good, solid feeling I'm going to win it. Otherwise, I won't waste anybody's time. But yeah, we've got veterans even recently now. They're so excited because they have went through other representatives who just didn't have that same knowledge or that understanding of what's going on in the background and understanding what is the mindset. And it's nothing against those representatives. They were definitely trained to the best of their ability, and they definitely do a good job. But they hit a point where the veterans go, I just can't use them anymore, and it's very frustrating, and they end up in this long battle with the VA. And then we come along, and we take that hot knife right through that butter, and now they're done with their battle with the VA. They're not worried about it anymore. They've got every benefit they're entitled to, whether that be 100% SMCs. They're just loving life again because they don't have to fight all that paperwork. Yeah, so it is a benefit for sure.
So without trampling your client confidentiality at all, like what is one victory that you can share that was really great, a great outcome?
Wow, we've actually had quite a few. Without trampling on confidentiality, because boy, I don't want to lose my license in the process. We've had I've had a number of veterans where, let's say, VA just doesn't seem to get it, unfortunately, and then it happens. But we will take it to the Board of Veterans' Appeals at some point. We hesitate to do that at times because the board only has so many lawyers and judges, and so it takes them about 3 years or so. But in the end, it was really nice because I've had veterans, when we go up that way, we usually win, because now I'm talking the same language with the people, even more so than I already am. But it was so nice to see that we were able to use the exact same evidence that the VA kept denying the claim on over and over and over again. And we got the grant. And not only did we get the grant, but again, it was a mental health concern, and ultimately could have left the veteran in a really bad place, homeless perhaps, if it wasn't one for their great network behind them, supporting them. But in the end, it was so nice to be able to shake that veteran's hand and say, wow, look at how far we've come, and now hear about their stories on how they're not going to be homeless, how they found a place to live, how they're shopping for furniture, how they're just making their whole life come together. So that was one. We've got others out there that, again, we got veterans who fought some serious conditions and cancers, and VA will just no, 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 and other reps will try to help. And unfortunately, we've all got a different skill set, and we were able to get these veterans, all the benefits that they weren't getting, again, off all the same evidence that they weren't getting for year after year after year. And ultimately now they don't have to worry about their spouse later on down the road. They don't have to worry about a lot of the health care. They'll get all that free now, and they get the benefits and the ease of mind now. So it's just so rewarding when we get any of those. And so I can't give the exact, of course, details on those, but that might be the best I can do. But we get a lot of them. We've had a lot of them, especially recently. It's just so rewarding to have them go, I'm ready to give up. That's usually what we see when they come to us. I'm ready to give up. And I'm like, don't give up. Don't give up yet. And then to see how their life has changed, how their mood has changed, their emotions have changed, how things have got better for them just by winning that case that they thought couldn't be won anymore. Yeah.
Yes. So what are common questions that people come in here and ask you?
Common questions. What am I entitled to? That's a big one. What am I entitled to? Because there's a lot of information about VA out there, and VA does their best to get it all out there. But we have a lot of logistics that go on, funding that go on, other issues that may prevent them from getting certain things out there. VA.gov, I always promote plenty of information out there, but it's very robust and sometimes hard to sort through. So they'll come in and try to figure out what benefits they're entitled to. So we'll explain that to them. We'll explain that service connection compensation to them. We'll explain how these certain conditions underneath different theories of rules and laws could apply, and we'll tell them you can potentially be entitled to healthcare benefits and education and home loans and so many more. So so much information there. Like I said, we'll probably get through a lot of it here eventually, but that's probably the big one. And then we just sit down and discuss their service, kind of figure out what they're entitled to, if anything. The other big question we get was usually once we sign them up and we start going through the appeals, the other thing that is always asked to me is, how long will it take my claim? And I will have to tell you, I can never tell you exactly how long it's going to take a claim. Because, one, we have a lot of moving parts. Depends on the facts of your case. If the VA's got to go find, say, service treatment records, because you filed a brand new claim, and for some reason somebody in the military lost your records and they can't get a hold of them, they have a series of rules they've got to follow and laws they've got to follow trying to find those records somewhere. So that could take longer in your claim. If your claim is stuck in their national work queue, it could take longer. So national work queue is now where all the claims go. It goes to a centralized location, who then determines who's got the availability across the U.S., and they send it all out. You may just not fit the mission at the time, unfortunately, and your claim may not move right away. Maybe it moves and somebody didn't know what they were doing and they clicked a button wrong and it created it to go someplace else when it shouldn't have. So it's hard to always say exactly how long it would take a claim because there's different things and factors that go on in the background. Now, I probably use a lot of the bad ones there, but there's good stuff too. Your claim could go fairly quickly because everything could go perfectly. So we're usually talking anywhere from probably a month to 6 months, I would say, usually. But what I always like to tell veterans as well is VA has a goal on average to complete a claim usually in about 125 days. So usually if you just expect 6 months, you're usually going to be pleasantly pleased with the outcome, I think, on the time frame. We have seen some turn around in one day, not usually always a good sign, but it does happen too. So again, just hard to say on that one. But we get a lot of questions, usually involving, what kind of evidence do you need when you file a claim, and again, that's going to be based on the facts of your case. Do you have records right now? Do you have medical records right now that help support your claim that we can just give the VA right away? Do we need personal statements? Do we need what they call buddy statements? Do we need to go to a independent private provider and get a nexus opinion or a DBQ? So evidence could be a series of things depending on the facts of your case, but that's another big question we get. So those are probably the top three, I would say. What do I need for my claim? What evidence do I need? What am I entitled to? And how long is my claim going to take? Yeah.
Okay. So obviously you are an attorney here in Arizona, and there was a recent video you did that I didn't know you could help people everywhere. So how does that work?
Yeah, so normally we are, as attorneys, we are stuck to the state for which we are licensed in. But when we work federal benefits, and VA being a federal benefit and not a state function, we are able to work within that realm across the nation. And interesting enough, not just the nation in a weird way for veterans with disability. I've had clientele that lived across the world. Now, some veterans, they get stationed in, say, England or Germany or Philippines, and they like it there and they stay. Maybe they retire there. And we've had those clientele as well. So our accreditation allows us, underneath the federal laws, to help veterans pretty much no matter where they live. We do try to stick to the nation because I did struggle with some of the time zones overseas and being as available as I'd like to be. So yeah, we can do veterans work across the nation. Now, we're stuck again to the state when it comes to state stuff. If we're talking like family laws and criminal laws that are state ran or injury cases or stuff like that. So that's not nationwide, but the VA work that's nationwide.
I struggle with time zones in the United States, so I get it. Okay.
Well, the United States is a little easier for me because I know the one is. That's those across the pond here that get me every time.
So tell us about how to reach you, how to get in touch with you. Like, how do you start working?
Yeah, so you do have other options out there. I always tell veterans that, not just to plug myself here, because we have VSOs out there, veteran service officers. You've got other accredited attorneys, you've got other accredited agents. What I want you to do is, one, be comfortable with who you're working with. We all have, again, a different skill set that may be helpful, may not be helpful to you. But if you like what you hear from me, you've seen some other videos, and you're like, this guy really seems to get it, then I always ask for you to go to the website, veteranlang.com. There you'll have a link to either schedule a phone call case evaluation with us. You'll get on our calendar, and our system will probably send you some more sheets and intake sheets and questions so you get a better idea of what's going on. Or if you're in the Arizona area or the local area here by surprise and you want to meet in person, you get that as well. So you can click on that link to schedule that time, and then just come into the office and sit down with me and we'll talk. Now, if you happen not to be near a computer and you can't get to veteranlang.com as easy, or maybe the web page is just not functioning or the internet's broke that day, you can get to our phone line here at 480-219-2101. We do our best to answer those lines. We are a small team, so if we don't answer, leave us a message. We'll definitely call back. Myself, I still answer my own phones. My paralegal will answer the phone. We'll get you on the calendar. And there's some times where if you call that number, not to flood my phone line, but if I happen to have a moment or say 30 minutes or so, we'll just do it right there on the spot. So a couple different ways. Phone call, 480-219-2101, webpage, veteranlang.com, or if you're in the area and I got time, walk on in. We get that too from veterans who are over here at the VA clinic next door. They'll be at an appointment and they'll see our sign and realize, oh, I could use some help, and then they'll come in. So we'll get you on our calendar one way or another.
I can see that there's no box for admission at the door, so coming in to talk to you is not going to cost them an arm and a leg.
No.
And talk.
That box fall down again? No, just kidding. No, you do, and it's kind of unfortunate in my field here. There are definitely firms that will charge you to talk to the attorney, the case evaluation, the consult, and that's what it is. The rules allow it, and that's their choice. I do my best not to charge you to walk in here and talk to me because, again, I want to hear your stories. I want to get to know you. And I want to be able to do what I can to help. Now, I do have to charge, though, at some point, because if I don't, I can't help all veterans that I want to help because unfortunately, I got to be able to keep my lights on. So there's definitely not an admissions box at the door. You won't stand in line. We're not going to have a bouncer take your money at the door, your $5 or anything to get into the club here. We'll definitely sit down for free. We'll have at least a half an hour conversation, sometimes up to an hour, whichever we need. And then we'll start talking about the payment. Then we'll have to talk about payment if we sign you up and are able to represent you. So that we'll just have to talk about when you get here. But yeah, nothing at the door. Nothing. No. I'm not going to charge you to talk to me. No, not at all. Yeah, it's unfortunate though. Our field does, yeah, it is an option, but no. Nope.
So what else can you offer veterans hope-wise, just for today? Because it seems like there could be a lot of missed opportunities that people don't know of until after the need has passed. So what can you offer them hope-wise to get what they need?
Well, I would say it's never too late to file your claim. Never too late. Now, a caveat of that, it may be a little more complicated, but it's not too late. The laws that we have on the books now and the ones that each administration comes out with are usually very veteran friendly. And what we find is you may have not been eligible at one point in time, say even 5 or 10 years ago. You may become eligible now because a law got passed. And when that happens, then you want to be able to file that claim and realize that there's still hope. May have got denied before, but there's still hope again because that law may change. Or maybe you just needed somebody to help you understand the evidence that was actually needed in the process and the reasons to why it was denied. So yeah, there's always hope. So always file your claim. Interesting story for me is I've worked in the system. Like I said, I did my tour in Iraq 2003, 2004. I came back, continued my duties. Like as mentioned before earlier on, ended up with the VA. I knew the system, I understood the system, and I still would not file a claim. I found so many other veterans were worse off than me, maybe experienced more than me. I just wasn't for me. It was a benefit for them is what I felt. But I'll tell you, veterans, the law is what it is. So even if you are in that mindset or you got maybe a proud mindset, understand that filing that claim doesn't make you any less of a person either. That hope is there for you that you can receive the extra help through the healthcare side, maybe a monetary amount if you're struggling to work. That's all there for you. So yeah, there's always hope. Never give up on it. Don't give up on it. Even if you've been denied 3, 4, 5 times, never give up hope. We've still changed lives back here with a lot of denials in the process.
So can you talk more about that piece of, I guess, deservability or passing up the opportunity and how people might be able to overcome that?
Yeah, we can definitely go more into that. My apologies. 1 second. I realize I'm having technical difficulty on the other end here.
Yeah, I thought it was my phone. It kept circling.
Yeah, it went on for a while there before I realized, me and the computer's happiness. Okay, I think it's back up and running now. Let's see how that goes. Computers, I love them. Can't live without them. Can't live with them. Is it going again? Yeah. Okay. So I apologize to everybody who missed out the first 40 minutes, apparently. They were on YouTube. I will do better on that next time to pay more attention to that. All right. What was that question again?
About veterans feeling like not maybe so much deservability, but feeling some type of way about what they are entitled to. Because you mentioned that
Yeah.
you didn't even, so you felt other people were more deserving of those benefits than you.
Right, right. So I think as veterans, it's easy for many of us to fall into that whole mindset. So we do have to step back, and sometimes even I've had to learn to put that ego aside or that pride aside. The law is written for all of us. It's not written for the most severely injured or the least injured person. It's written for all of us. It's in our contract, believe it or not. The contract that we sign when we raise our hand, it's actually in there. The government is there to lend us a hand, even though it may feel like a rough hand sometimes. But they have to understand that they are putting us through, no matter what the job we do, at some point we do rigorous training. We do stuff that most people wouldn't even think of. They really want us to be this superhuman, I think, a lot of times. So we really have to understand that, one, we're entitled to this stuff underneath our contract. Maybe entitlement's a strong word for some people, but it's a benefit that we have in return for our attempts of being superhuman or for being superhuman, being a hero in some terms. And we really have to allow ourselves from all that training we had to step back for a moment. Again, release that ego, release that pride, and realize that this is here to benefit us in exchange for what we did in service, whatever those jobs were and whatever we did. So we really, really have to work towards getting away from that idea. The pot of money that's set aside is for every veteran. Somebody once told me that every veteran is projected to receive 100%. And that's the way the funding works. True or not, I've never really followed up on it, but I believe that person in all their experience. So that being the case, that's what we got to look at as well, is that it's there for us, no matter how we feel about it in the end.
So I would think that if the veteran moved forward with benefits, then any survivor benefits entitled to those survivors would be a much easier process, should they need it. Is that accurate?
Well, yeah, that's definitely accurate. I think I got a message here on this YouTube one again. YouTube's not liking me today. But it's accurate. I think that's something else we need to really, that's a great point. That's something else we need to be considerate of. We have family that were there with us that went through the good times and the bad times, and maybe they weren't there in service, but they're still going through our good times and bad times after service. So we want to make sure they're taken care of as well. And yes, if we don't step up and get those benefits rolling and get that started, then they lose out ultimately in the end as well for the decision we made. So definitely something to take in consideration in the process.
Yeah. Neat. I cannot think of any more questions. What else do you want to say about veterans on this fine Veterans Day today?
Well, one, I hope they got all their free meals in for the day. I really do. I think it's always great that there's organizations that do stuff out there like that. But no, YouTube may just have to suffer here. Unfortunately, it's not working. We'll have to catch them some up later on. No, I think there's a lot of information out here too, and there's a lot of stuff we haven't talked about. We'll definitely go through it more and more and more, but understand some of that stuff I was saying earlier too. When you file a claim, I also have veterans who will say, well, I never went to sick call or medical or got anything treated during service. That's okay. Most of us don't. Again, I knew the system and injured myself and still went to seek out medical or sick call most of the time because I got tired of being given ibuprofen and told to drink water and drive on. So we don't necessarily have to have everything documented perfectly. Now, if you're a younger veteran or in the service now, I would definitely say utilize sick call as much as you can. It was always an ongoing joke. We could always tell what branch of service you were from in the VA after a while, but you guys get it, hopefully. But that's the idea. We have to understand that even if we're not receiving treatment during service, that there's other evidentiary rules, there's other things that can come into play. We can start talking about witness statements or buddy statements. We can talk about personal statements. Again, all that evidence I was talking about earlier that could help your claim out. But now, remember, we also have other theories of service connection too. So when we talk about what happened in service, that's our direct theory. We also have to remember we have a secondary theory. Your conditions that may be directly related to service, and a popular one is, let's say you got that PTSD connection. You have PTSD from service. VA has recognized it. They have service connected you for it. Now, your PTSD, from a medical standpoint, is going to disrupt other parts of your body. The stress you feel, the anxiety you feel, the up and down roller coaster of that condition can aggravate other conditions. So one popular one that we see is the sleep apnea or even migraines. The stress could trigger a migraine that's not service connected. It could make it worse than it normally would be. It could trigger additional episodes of sleep apnea, additional symptoms that wouldn't have normally have been there. So we can start linking this stuff into your service as well, even though it wasn't directly there. So that's another thing I always want veterans to remember is the claims process is not just what did I get treated for in service. Another popular theory we get, and we really seen it in the PACT Act that came out in around 2022, is that we have presumptions, or if anybody remembers the Camp Lejeune commercials, that became a presumptive as well. We have stuff where science, medicine, and our government has agreed that the exposures would have likely led to certain conditions. So, for example, thinking Gulf War off the top of my head, we've got particulate matter. I mean, I know when I was over in Iraq, we didn't do a lot of burning of feces and stuff, but other units did. No one realized at that time how toxic that was, crazy enough. But not only that, we were exposed to whatever was in that fine particle sand that was constantly getting stuck in our nose and our eyes and our ears because we didn't have the proper protections in 2003. Sandstorms came through daily. Now, science has said underneath the PACT Act, and our government, like I said, has said there's a presumption there. There's a sinusitis and there's a rhinitis. So if you get some sinus issues from all that, maybe it didn't happen to be documented in service, but now you have a presumption. So the long story of all that is never step away from a claim because you don't feel it's directly related to service or because you never went to sick call or medical. Understand that there's so much more in the law that can actually get you the benefits that you're ultimately entitled to. And those laws are always changing. Like I said, the PACT Act is our biggest new one in 2022. Changed the world for a lot of Vietnam veterans and Agent Orange exposure. Changed the world for Gulf War. And it really left the door open for the government to add even more. Because they realized that they can't just stop on a certain list. They started adding the toxic exposure issues. So they left a whole other section in there saying that if we can get the medical world to give that opinion, then we're going to service connect that as well underneath those rules and laws. So VA law is very robust in a lot of stuff. So just keep in mind, if you don't try, you won't know. You just have to go out there and give it your shot and see what happens. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is the VA says no incorrectly or correctly, but give it a try. I don't want veterans to give up. There's definitely a lot of theories of laws that we work with back here. A lot of things that we got to think about. We don't even really stop there, but I would probably bore the crap out of people if I went into some other things that was in my head when I sit down with veterans. Sometimes I don't even have to ask a lot of questions, and I think that scares people because I've already thought of so many processes and so many laws in just a couple words from our meeting, and I've got a whole claim built in my head before you even walk away from me. So you got other representatives that can do the same thing. Why not give them a try and see how it works out? But yeah, VA law is just really, really robust. On the flip side of that, though, since I'm going off on all my tangents now, VA law can be really easy too. And I always tell everybody, especially the VA when I was training them, is remember the foundation of VA law is three things: in service, current disability, and a link between the two. You master that, you can usually figure out a lot of the other pieces in the middle, if you probably understand most of those laws. I gotta quit calling it easy. It's not always that easy, but too much experience, I guess.
Easy for you.
Easy for me. Yes, yes. Yes, I forget.
Easy for you. I feel like those forms would be very confusing, and I don't know the language, and I would not answer them properly, and I would be immediately denied because I would answer them incorrectly and then be frustrated and give up.
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Those forms are ridiculous on someone. 526EZ, that's a ridiculous one. But when you understand the rules of
Easy.
yeah, it's called easy. Right. It wasn't always called easy, but they swear it's the easiest version they've ever had. It might be about as long as the original one. But yeah, it's government, right? That's really easy. Sure it is. We find in that form in particular, because it's trying to cover so many things, that there's so much on there you don't even have to fill out. And yeah, I would say veterans wouldn't even realize that if they didn't go through the process before. You're going to want to fill out every box, and then ultimately you may be filling out something that you don't need, or you remembered something wrong, like a date of service that doesn't match what's in the record, and then VA is going to go crazy. Oh, this doesn't match, and now they feel like they've got to do a whole bunch of other steps. So yeah, if you do get confused with those forms, again, sit down with a representative. Let us help with that, because we can cut out all that other junk and noise that's on those forms. But yeah, I'm crazy enough. All these years of doing this. What am I running on? 17, 18 years? I don't know anymore. And I never found the humor in the fact it was called EZ. But yes, you're right. It is called EZ. It's supposed to be easy. It's not easy. It's not. It's not. Yeah, and you get other forms too. They're not always as easy as easy. That's the only one that says easy. It's probably the longest one too. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. Yeah, but there's other forms. Sometimes they're difficult to follow as well. Especially the DIC, the survivor benefits. That's a huge one too. That's got a lot of information on it, and that's, like I said, we're asking of a group of people who are usually mourning at that time, trying to understand the next steps in life, deal with the changes that are going on, and we're asking them to fill out stuff that just looks like nonsense. And so yeah, it's unfortunate, but the rules do complicate some of that. But again, that's what we're here for. We're here to sort that all out in that whole process. What else do I got here? I'm really wishing the YouTube one would have worked better too. It seems like TikTok did really well, which is good. But
And I think TikTok saves it, so you'll be able to like put this out. You can trim it down and
trim it.
put it out. So,
yeah, give me a few weeks to figure that one out.
so anything else you would like to add in for people either now or future people when you cut this down?
Well, yeah, I suppose we're going to try to do more with TikTok. We're going to try to put more information on TikTok like I do with the YouTube, and we're going to expand YouTube more. My whole goal is to provide the education out there of what VA disability is. I can't promise that all the videos will be exciting and non-dry. Law can get a little dry, but I still want everybody to have that information. Perhaps I'm not your typical lawyer, your typical attorney.
Thank God.
Yeah, I've had veterans send me that actually. They're like, "Oh, I was afraid to talk to you because you're an attorney, and then when I talked to you, you were so down to earth." And like, yeah, I'm a veteran too. We're here to make this as easy as possible. But yeah, so I put a lot of that education out there. I do point it towards the VA and try to help them understand more, knowing how their training works and how things operate there. And I put it towards the veterans as well, and then anybody else who is curious. There's all kinds of information out there. So we work to do that. We're going to continue doing that. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't think it's live on YouTube worked very well. I had plenty of people who were excited to see it. We'll have to figure that out next time. But yeah, check out our social media stuff. I'm not trying to do it like I've seen other attorneys do either, or other representatives, and and give you the fear mongering of everything. The process is hard enough and stressful enough. I ultimately want to take some of that stress off. I'm going to give you a lot of the facts. A lot of experience related stuff too. There's stuff that I'm sure I'm not allowed to share to the extent of I don't want to piss the wrong people off. But I'm going to still tell you kind of what it was like for me in the VA and how that experience now plays a role with everything there. Apparently, I have to do a jigsaw puzzle really quick.
Okay.
That was weird. Unable to verify because I can't see what I'm doing.
You have to prove you're human?
Apparently, last hour meant nothing about my. Oh, I'm dragging it in there. I really am.
Well, the good news is I have seen the whole thing over here. So
You still seeing it?
TikTok was fine.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to move the camera for a minute because this is not playing nice. I don't know why. Finally. That's what I did like 6 times. Okay.
Hi, Barb. Do you have any questions on this Veterans Day for a VA attorney? Go ahead and type them in.
There we go.
We are kind of out of our questions.
Yeah, I can talk all day long, but I want to hear from everybody else too. It's Veterans Day. I want to hear from the veterans. Tell me what you got.
Veterans or family of veterans.
So families as well.
Maybe Barb is either a veteran or a survivor that might need benefits.
Yes, yeah. If that's the case, let's get her taken care of. Okay, I think I'm back there anyways.
I think Barb is shy.
Shy? That's okay.
That's all right.
It's all right. That's okay. Sometimes we are. I was that way for years. But yeah, it's been great to give this a shot. I'm glad that some out there have been able to see it. Like I said, I don't think the YouTube thing went as well, but hey, that's what we do. We got to experiment. We got to try. I'll never know what this looked like if I didn't try. So, kind of works with the claim. Got to try it. We just don't know what that ultimate result is until we do it. If it doesn't go right the first time, hey, learn from it. Do it again.
I think the first time is just getting over fear of what to do. So now we know
Oh yeah.
what it does and what doesn't work. And
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Boy, I may have been doing this for years, but there's still fear and stuff. If you want a fun story,
oh hey, your sister is here.
that's fantastic. If you want a fun story, just imagine being an attorney who fresh out of school and has to walk into a courtroom for the first time and pretend he knows what he's doing. Yeah, we all get shy. We all get a little scared. Gotta get those nerves out. So this is definitely helpful.
Yeah. Hey Becky, what's your VA question for today? Maybe you can think of one that I have not. By the way, this is your Aunt Rose. If you don't recognize the voice, that's me.
Yes, recruiting family to help out. Recruiting family. Family is a good resource. Family is a good resource.
She either left or went silent. I don't know where she is. She reposted. That's nice. Thank you, Becky.
Well, let's just start. Maybe she has no questions. She probably hears enough of it from me. So.
And Joe 12. Joe, do you have any veteran questions for today? We just want to help as many. Oh, I want to help Matthew help as many people. I don't know jack shit. I don't know anything. I'm asking questions.
Asking questions, tech support, keeping my attention in the right spots. Because boy, that mind will wander really quick with all that stuff going on up there. 1 minute I'm over here reading one thing, I'll be down here, and oh, that's a shiny object. No.
Yeah. So Becky says she doesn't have any questions, but Matt knows what he's talking about. I believe that absolutely.
Yeah. I'll accept it, but she has a little bias in the situation. Bunnies.
Well, I don't know. She's a little rebel, so she doesn't hold back if she
doesn't. You're
want
right.
to hear your stuff.
She'll let you know, I guess. She'll let you know. She does remind me how old I am too, so that's nice. Yeah. I think it's the other nice thing with just working with veterans as well, or even stuff like this is you got to remember, even though this process is stressful, we still got to have fun in the process too. Like I said, we'll sit and laugh with veterans. We'll have fun because we definitely want to get the stress off of everybody there. But apparently YouTube says I'm done streaming, so that's okay because I don't think it was working anyways. But I suppose I could quit talking if there's no other questions. We've been doing it for about a little more than an hour now.
Yeah.
So
Perfect. Great. Happy Veterans Day, everybody.
yes, indeed.
Service.
Yes. Thank you to all veterans, past, present, future, everything you've done. Sometimes I think we get stuck in the idea of, and this may not go well for some, but here we go. No matter what job we did, reserve, guard, active component, whether we sat behind a desk, whether we were out there in the field with the infantry, artillery, we're all veterans. We all played a role in the traditions, playing a role with the protection of the country. So don't think just because you didn't do a certain job or you weren't in a certain branch or you didn't do active component because you're reserve or guard don't think less of yourself. You're still a veteran, and I've had to be reminded of that multiple times too, as a career reservist. We all play a role. We did our part. So yes, this is our day. Happy Veterans Day. Definitely take advantage of those offers that are out there from restaurants and retailers, and let them say thank you for what you've done.
You deserve it.
So awesome. But thank you everybody for being here. I think that's all we've got. So we'll definitely do this again. Give it another try. Work with the technology better with some stuff. But yeah, thanks again.
Great.
All right. Well, now you got to watch me try to end this here. You might want to stick around. You might want to stick around for that show because I'm a damn good lawyer with VA stuff, but when it comes to social media stuff, we're in trouble. All right. Oh, yep. Oh, there it is. I'll give you the show. I'll let you figure that out. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. There we go. Bye.